What's going on, everyone? So, big man Danny Wolf was part of the CAA kind of exhibition for the draft and doing the workouts and whatnot. And Rob Pelinka was there in attendance, doing his due diligence. Now, Danny Wolf is a guy that I would love to see on the Lakers. Many people would love to see on the Lakers. He is a very skilled, well-rounded big man. Been in the league or the college, a little more seasoned, right? He's 21 years old, right? So he's not like this like young rookie coming in, right? He's a guy that has a very, again, well-polished game. Recently just played with Michigan, right? And he's a guy that many people believe will be kind of in the like higher end, right? First round to I've seen maybe like early second round. But since the workout, murmurs and reports and word going around is that his draft stock is currently rising and that it looks like he'll probably be a first round draft pick. But the Lakers are interested, which kind of signals a couple things. One, they're really kind of keeping an eye on the draft, which, I mean, you could argue there are a lot of like just guys that are going to be available late in this draft, and particularly undrafted as far as the center position goes. So Lakers getting a center out of this draft is very likely, right? Whether it's through the 55th pick or they trade or buy a earlier second round pick, or something where they get a guy in undrafted free agency. But if they want a guy like Danny Wolf, then they'd have to pony up, more likely than not, to move into the first round. Something that I talked about, should the Lakers even look to trade into the first round, right? I think it's an option the Lakers should at least explore. They need young, cheap talent. They need guys that can come in, play a role, be a rotation guy. Not looking for Daniel Wolf to come in and be a, starter day one and just this 20-10 center right out the gate. Now, I do think he is one of the centers that could plug in and really kind of give you, production in the rotation right out the gate. But he's not this like stellar rim protector. Like, he is in the mold of the Sabonis, the Jokic, right? Like the kind of Euro bigs, even though he's from Illinois, if I'm not mistaken. But that's the style in which he plays. He reads the floor really well. He can, makes quick reactions, right? He's great at just kind of reading and taking what the defense gives him, particularly on, kind of that 15 area. I can see a lot of action where, he's at like the free throw line extended, or, maybe top of the key, and you're just kind of running some offense through. Think of like, like Colin Castleton, right? And his and how good he was passing the basketball. One of the things that I really liked about Colin Castleton was his ability to survey and kind of, make things. But Danny Wolf, because people might ask, well, why not? Why didn't they just keep Castleton if you're going to get a guy like Danny Wolf? Because he's a guy that can do a lot of the same stuff. Because Daniel Wolf, one, he plays more like a big man, where like Castleton at times played very, very soft, right? He played like he was almost 6 feet rather than 7. It just at times just was very passive, and where Daniel Wolf is a guy that has shown the ability to do a little bit of everything, right? Shown the ability to even stretch the floor, right? He's a guy that I could see being that all-around guy. Now, not really going to be that significant lob threat for you. He's not really going to be that, kind of rim protecting, big physical kind of just like, hey, he's basically going to lock it down and nobody's scoring the basketball. Now, he isn't light, right? He's 250 pounds. He is a true 7-footer. So he is a guy that has the size, right? And just the weight behind him. But again, he's in the mold of, the Domantas Sabonis type, the Nikola Vucevic, right? Like those skilled bigs, right? That can come in, be an offensive force, make plays, right? You can run your offense through him at times, right? Like that's the kind of mold in which he'd be, right? Like even, his kind of nickname was like, Jokic, the, college Jokic, right? Like, and so he's a guy that you watch him play and you watch his style of play. It's like, okay, you can see the comparisons, right? You could see the way that he operates and just moves the basketball. And he's a guy that if he was like 18, he'd probably be maybe even in the top 10. But we've seen guys that once they start getting into year, 3, 4 in college and, they start getting into those 20s, right? And, 21, 22, 23, you see that drop. And you see guys, Dalton Knecht was projected as high as like 4th on some mock drafts. And he fell all the way to 17th for the Lakers. And it's not because he wasn't good. It's not because anything like that. It's because, again, he was the age they was, 23. It's like, okay, do we want that guy or do we want this like 18-year-old that we can mold and shape over the next few years, right? Do we want the upside, right? Where obviously a guy like Daniel Wolf, he has plenty of upside. He was 21 years old. Right, so he is at bare minimum 10 years of being able to grow and develop as he starts to enter, the peak of his prime and stuff like that. So, he's not sold. He's not like he's 25, 26 coming in. It's like, man, dude, like, right? Because you see some of these rookies, right? They're 24 or, these seasoned guys, 24, 25, 26 coming in. And it's like, all right, like, they go undrafted or they go late in the first or whatever. And it's kind of like you're hoping that this guy could be an immediate rotation piece. No, like Daniel Wolf is a guy that I do believe could be an immediate rotation piece. He's not a guy that I would expect to play 30 minutes a night unless he's just absolutely stellar, right? But going to take some time for him. College and NBA are very different things, right? And look great in pro day and all that stuff, or the CAA day, pro day, or draft day, right? I get that. Look great in college, was fantastic with Michigan, but it's an adjustment. Right? Start getting into the physicality, start playing with grown men, you get better defenses, they kind of know what you want to do, you have less time to read and react, right? Like there's a lot that goes into it. It's not as simple as like, where there's times where he can kind of just, sit on that ball for a minute and kind of really look and let things develop and do. You got to go, right? You got to boom, right? But he is good at it. He is good at quick reads, boom, kind of do the, the 3-step check and then boom, you go, right? You see centers, Jokic, guys like that, boom, 1, 2, 3, okay, and then make a move or kick it out or, find the cut or whatever it is, right? So he's good at the 3 count. Again, a guy that can knock down, score around the rim, be aggressive, right? He's not shy from contact, right? So he's a guy that can embrace and initiate and do all that as far as contact goes, comes from a pristine organization, and he's the kind of guy the Lakers like, right? And the Lakers have had a lot of success with these kind of guys, right? The guys that come in that are just, again, have a little more seasoning on them, understand the game a little better, right? Know coming in, know what their role is, brace the role. Okay, let me buy right in. And look, something that I've talked about with the Lakers is like, I'd love to kind of have that structure that we saw in 2020. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get another Anthony Davis. You're not going to be able to get Dwight Howard. And right, like what I'm talking about is having the skilled big, right? The Anthony Davis, the guy that can do a little bit of everything out there. He can make plays. He can block the occasional shot, right? He can do all that stuff, right? Danny Wolf, I could see he could be our skill big, right? He could be the guy that can do a little bit of everything out there. Again, he's not, Anthony Davis defensively and protecting the rim and all that stuff, but he can. He block shots. He can, do something. He's still set. Like I said, he's 7 feet, 250 pounds, right? And he does have some athleticism. He does have some move to it. Like I don't want to make it sound like he's like stuck in mud, right? Like he's got the tools to be at least a serviceable defender. But, he's not really known. He's not this guy that's like, oh man, that dude's, absolute clams. Right? Again, he's more in the mold of the Euro big, right? Where they're not really known for their defense. They're more known for their, fundamentals and just being sound all around. That's where you're getting with Daniel Wolf. But he's a guy that I think could be our skilled big, come in immediately, be an impact guy. I'm not expecting him to do anything crazy. Just, can he be a 10-5 guy off the bench. That'd be great, right? Like, that'd be fantastic, right? And then go get like a more physical, even if it's a Clint Capella, right? Have that Clint Capella type who can be kind of your Dwight Howard, right? Rebound, be physical, bang with the big boys. And then have that Christian Koloko or that Jackson Hayes or whomever. They're just the floor runner, pick up the pace, right? Run and gun, be the lob threat, do all those things. Like, that's what I'd like to see, right? It was kind of the idea with like Mark Williams. You have like a Mark Williams. Okay, he's your skilled big. And then you go get, so if the Lakers can move in to the first round in particular and land a Daniel Wolf, I think that'd be huge. I think that'd be something that'd be really good for the Lakers and really just kind of put them in great positioning, put them in great shape. But we'll see. Again, reports coming in, but reports coming in for a lot of guys. Obviously, the Lakers aren't going to be able to draft everybody, but I do think the Lakers make some type of move, and we'll see what that move is. Right, but they could get Danny Wolf. I'd do it. Right, without a doubt. I think he'd be great. I think he'd be fine. Right, I think you always want to have calmed expectations for these rookies coming in. And I think if you have that, I think you'll be very impressed with them. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot as we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.